Welcome to Salty Investigations. My name is Chris, and today I wanted to do a brief discussion on the new ABC documentary, the 2020, the Idaho Justice. We're going to get into this. Please leave a comment and let me know how you feel about this video. Give me your comments. Let me know what you think about this case. This case has been living rent-free in everyone's head for quite a long time. And let's get started. First of all, in the documentary, you're going to start seeing the walkthrough. They're going to walk through the crime scene. They're going to show you actually what police first seen and the first responders. You're going to see Hunter Johnson, the one that found Ethan and Xana's bodies. And then you're going to see some roommates give their accounts of what happened that morning and the night before. One thing I love about it is you really get to know the victims, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. It kind of sheds a new light since all of the documents have dropped and all the body cam footage and the crime scene photos. This is like the first documentary that really breaks stuff down, and I thought it was done very well. Pretty much all the family speaks, but the only ones that I do not see in this documentary is Xana's family. It does go into depth more about Brian Kohberger and about his past and when he was in middle school with his weight and his heroin addiction. So that stuff is pretty interesting. He did sell his sister's phone after he was released out of rehab in February of 2014 and got one of his friends to take it to a shop and sell it so he could buy more drugs. It also showed that he was made fun of in middle school about his weight, and his dad took him to a gym, and actually he had a good relationship with his trainer and started boxing and started losing weight, and he lost drastic weight in a very short amount of time. But it's like when he lost weight, he became the new Brian 2.0. He became a different person. So the bullied actually became the bully. It also shows that he was making purchases on Amazon in March of 2022. Then he graduated with a master's degree at DeSales University, May of 2022. He then moved to Pullman, Washington. He started WSU, and for a while, everything seemed to be going okay. And then the professors and the students started noticing some things about him that they didn't like. He started getting a lot of complaints, and he was getting a bad reputation really quickly. Now, one thing they do note is that Brian came from a normal household, almost kind of like BTK, right? The guy he studied. Nothing seemed wrong with his family. They were very concerned about Brian's drug use. They were concerned about the path that he was going down, and they were trying to get him help. Even as far as getting him arrested, which he was charged with a misdemeanor for stealing his sister's phone, but he did not serve jail time. Like his family was really trying to get him on the right track. And it seemed like when he went into high school that he started getting on that right track. He ended up working for a security company at Pleasant Valley, and he did that for a little while before all of this happened. It also states too that he was diagnosed with autism, and he had met the criteria for autism since he was a child. Another thing that I wanted to bring out is the timeline of the murders. You really need to go watch this documentary, and I'm just breaking down some things, some key points that I wanted to bring to your attention. So Xana got the DoorDash around 3:59 or 4 a.m. in the morning. She came downstairs, she grabbed it. Now, around this time, Bethany stated that she seen a flashing light and she heard a bang. What I think it could possibly have been was the door opening when Xana was getting her DoorDash, and either the DoorDash driver's car lights were flashing in. The bang could have been her shutting the door when she was going back upstairs with her food. That's a possibility. Nothing could have been thrown over from the second floor down to the first floor because it was solid wall. And when you go back through the crime scene, you are going to see that there's absolutely no way possible something could have been dropped unless somebody was standing right by Bethany's door on the first floor. The investigators stated that when Xana got her food from DoorDash, she went upstairs, went directly into the kitchen, got a plate, and then went to her room with her food. And she was scrolling on TikTok. I believe at that time that Brian had not came in the house because you can see him on Ring camera footage the last time before he committed the murders around 4:07 a.m. Xana would have already been in her room eating. Kaylee and Maddie were asleep in their bed. Dylan was in her room. Bethany was in her room. And Ethan was in bed asleep. Now, I believe when Xana finished eating, Brian had already entered the house. They believe that he entered the house around 4:10. I believe it was probably more like 4:09. Because if he's seen on the Ring camera footage at 4:07 going up the hill and around to park, he would have to have time to do all of that, plus walk down into the backyard and go into the sliding glass door. I personally believe there is 2 handprints on the kitchen window. Right here, you see that. I believe that when he came down, the sliding glass door may have been locked, but he tried to raise the window and couldn't. So he had another tool with him, which I believe is a screwdriver, and he popped the sliding glass door and entered, which really wouldn't have made any noise. The whole time, Xana's in her room, scrolling on her phone, TikTok, probably hear music because you know how TikTok is. It's loud and noisy and a lot of music. He goes straight upstairs. Whether he opened up Kaylee's door first and seen that nobody was in there and then walked to Maddie's room, or if he just walked directly to Maddie's room, we will never know. But they seem to think that he opened up Kaylee's room and seen that it was empty and then moved on to Maddie's room. And when he got in there, he noticed that Maddie wasn't alone. I believe he's thinking, oh, great. Because I feel like he wanted to take his time with Maddie, which I believe she was the target. Now, there's a lot of speculation about the damage around Kaylee's mouth. I personally believe that she woke up, the bed was shaking, obviously, when he was attacking Maddie. And I believe that Kaylee woke up and sat up in bed and started fighting him. And he wasn't expecting that. He was expecting to go in there and take his time with one victim. You can actually see the nicks in the wall, and you can see the blood on the wall where Kaylee was setting up fighting him. She was trying to scream. She might have been saying something. She may have tried to bite him, anything to get that guy off of her. She had a wall behind her, a wall beside her, and the only way she could get out was either on Maddie's side or the foot of the bed, and he was blocking those areas. She sat up and she faced her attacker and she fought, and he knocked teeth out. He broke her teeth. He left lasting scars around her mouth, trying to silence her from screaming. She suffered from asphyxiation, so he was trying to silence her as quickly as possible. Investigators confirm that Xana did go upstairs, and she probably caught him in the act. He could probably hear her coming upstairs. She may have asked her friends, hey, is everything okay? What's going on? Something to draw attention off of Kaylee onto Xana. Xana sees him, right? She sees some dark figure in Maddie's room, and she's like, oh my God. So she takes off running. Now, a lot of speculation is people are like, he did not chase after her. The hell he didn't. There's no way he, Michael Myers, walked his ass down those stairs after her. She ran like hell. She screamed and she ran and she said, someone's in here. And trust me, Brian was hot on her heels. If he wasn't, and if he was Michael Myers walking down the stairs, she would have been able to go into her room and lock the door. She wasn't able to do that. There was blood spots on the outside of her door, so that's where the attack started. And I guess the most disturbing thing that I didn't even realize or think about, because I always thought that, Xana and the attacker were vertical. No, they weren't. Eventually. I mean, if they began in a vertical position because Xana was fighting him. She had so many defensive wounds on her body. And you can hear in the Ring camera footage of things being moved around the room. You can hear things heavily being moved because there was a hell of a battle going on. At 4:17:30-ish, you hear what sounds like Xana fall. That's when he realized, oh my God, somebody else is in this room, and he jumped on Ethan and killed him quickly. The crazy thing is, the investigators believe, and this is like the haunting part, they believe that Xana was on the floor and crying, right? And probably possibly tried to get up because you can see a handprint, or what appears to be a handprint, on the seat in the room on the fluffy chair. At first, they said that Brian may have sat down and rested. I don't believe that, because the chair was in a very awkward position. It was between the table and the mirror. That would have been a very awkward sit for him. What they believe is that Brian actually got on the floor with Xana and finished her on the floor. It also shows in the documentary that he could have possibly had something on his shoes, which I believe he did. I believe he had his shoes covered, and that's why you didn't see a lot of the blood tracked through the house. Number one, when he's upstairs with Kaylee and Maddie, his feet are probably away from the scene because his upper body is up there doing the deed, right? So his feet are away from it. So there wouldn't have been a lot of blood on the floor. It would have been more contained to the bodies and the mattress and the pillows and the walls, not so much on the floors. When he was with Xana, that's different. And you got to stop and think. I mean, I know there was a lot of blood that we have been redacted. We have been spared from seeing. And everybody's like, where's the blood? Where's all the blood? It's there. You just can't see it. You can see a little bit of it. You got to understand, when someone is attacked and there's a pool of blood around their body, that takes a little bit to spread, right? So he was only there for like a couple of minutes. With his feet covered and the timeline that he was in there, I can totally understand how there was not blood tracked throughout the whole house. An hour after the fact, I could see blood being everywhere. And Ethan's blood was contained between the wall and the mattress. And that's what you see leaking outside of the house. Believe me, there was a lot of blood. The documentary confirmed what I've always believed. I believed that it was Maddie and then Kaylee, and then Xana was attacked and then went to Ethan. He was deceased and then went back to Xana and finished it. Their belief would have him in the house for 10 minutes. I believe it was more like 11-ish. You can see him driving out at a high rate of speed. It was almost 4:21 in the morning. Maybe 11 or 12 minutes he was in that house. A lot of people in my comments have said, I can't understand why he didn't take Dylan out. I can, because I feel like he was exhausted. For number one, he wasn't planning on coming in there and killing 4 people. He wanted one person. He wanted to take his time with that person. And when he was unable to do so, Everybody else in that house was collateral damage. The violence was taken out on Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. Because Maddie didn't put up much of a fight. He attacked Ethan so viciously because he was a guy. And he knew that if Ethan would get up, Brian would be taken over. This is just a quick video, guys. I wanted to know what you thought. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you believe something else, if you believe, I know there's some people out there that think Brian's innocent. I do not. I'm not one of those people. I believe that he was absolutely guilty. When the bodies were removed after Kaylee and Maddie were murdered and the investigators got there the next day, the comforter was removed. Under the comforter, under Maddie, was the knife sheath. I've heard people say, oh, it was planted. Well, first of all, Brian was a nobody from Pennsylvania. And the victims, even their friends, they were like, when he was arrested, they were like, who is this guy? Who is he? I've never seen this guy before. So that leads me to believe that he was not framed for the murders. This was not planted. It was under the body of Maddie, under the comforter, y'all. There was an intense fight, an intense battle with Kaylee. And I think the two people that were victims that helped catch the perpetrator was Kaylee and Xana. Total heroes in my book. I know a lot of people ask questions. Why didn't Dylan call 911? I think that we will let that question ring in our brains for the next 20 years. But this is my take on the new ABC 2020 documentary. I would love for you to watch it. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think, because it does go into detail about the DNA and how they got the DNA. Interesting. Well, thank you for joining me, guys. Make sure to subscribe if you love the crime channels. We like to delve into cases. I can't get this one out of my brain. It's living rent-free, y'all. If they would just release everything, I think we could get this out of our system, but they're trickling it down. And so it just takes a longer time to get over. Thank you for joining me, and have a great night.